The Battle for Taiwan. Chapter 1. Saltwater and steel. The Pacific smelled different in California. More metallic, more bitter, less forgiving. Lin Wei-shin tasted again as he rose in the surf. Boots filled with seawater, uniform plastered to his skin, body trembling from a night of cold so deep it felt carved into his bones. The sun had not yet risen over the endless blue-gray horizon. The instructor stood above him on the beach, silhouettes against the sharp wind, clipboards in hand, eyes scanning for weakness. "Get up, Frog Prince." Instructor Decker bellowed. "We didn't bring a tourist from Taiwan. You want to wear our trident? You have to fucking earn it." Wei-shin pushed himself to his feet. His legs wobbled. His vision blurred at the edges. Every muscle felt like frayed wire. But he stood. He always stood. Bud S., Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, was not a course. It was a crucible. It broke men faster than bullets. And in the winter class of 2023, the failure rate was even higher. Only the most disciplined, the most stubborn, the most unbreakable survived. Lin Wei-shin had come to Coronado to become that. He hadn't told anyone back home he applied. Not his father. Not his fellow Special Forces candidates in Taiwan. Not even his closest friend in the Amphibious Reconnaissance and Patrol Unit. Only his leadership knew. The ARP trained hard, but he wanted something beyond hard. Something few men ever endured. He wanted proof. Proof that he could endure suffering without bending. Proof that he could control fear with breath alone. Proof that the limits other people talked about were illusions. Bruce Lee had once said, "Be like water." But here, among the waves, Wei-shin learned something deeper. Water is only calm on the surface. Underneath, it crushes mountains. The instructors blew their whistles. Time for surf torture again. The candidates sprinted toward the freezing ocean, linked arms, and lay back into the churning water as the waves crashed over their faces. Wei-shin gritted his teeth as icy foam filled his ears. The Pacific roared, swallowing their shouts. One candidate screamed, then quit, scrambling back to the sand where the instructors circled him like wolves. "Ring the bell." Class 347 just got one man lighter. A brass bell stood at the edge of the beach, the exit door. Ring it 3 times, and you were done. Out. Gone. Failure. Wei-shin refused to look at it. He had promised himself something on the flight to San Diego. "I will leave here the honor of a warrior or not at all." Hours blurred. Daylight finally broke through the fog. The candidates ran miles with boats held over their heads. They carried logs, monstrous things that crushed shoulders and rubbed skin raw. They crawled through mud pits. They learned to fight in water, on sand, and in darkness. They slept almost none. They suffered always. But every time Wei-shin reached the edge of collapse, something inside him lit like a spark. Every setback became fuel. Every failure attempt became motion. Every wave that knocked him down taught him a rhythm. Fall, rise, move, breathe. He became the quiet one in platoon, the machine, some called him, because he never celebrated, never complained, never boasted. He simply did. When he sparred in hand-to-hand drills, he flowed with a speed and precision the instructors didn't expect. Lee Junfan philosophy guided every motion. Economy, directness, adaptability. When others relied on strength, Wei-shin used balance. When they swung wide, he cut through the center line. He was a whisper of motion, a storm in containment. He was water with purpose. Hell Week arrived like the apocalypse. 6 days with almost no sleep. 50 hours of freezing surf, miles of runs, endless punishment. Men hallucinated. Men cried. Men collapsed. Wei-shin drifted through the blur with clarity he didn't understand. He saw a ghost of his childhood, his father teaching him to fight in an alley behind their apartment in Kelung. The boy he couldn't save during the hostage rescue years later. The Taiwan Strait glimmering beneath a setting sun. Pain cracked open old memories, and somewhere in the middle of their longest night, soaking wet and shaking, holding a boat above his head while his arms screamed, he whispered to himself, "If I break here, I break everywhere." He didn't break. On the 6th day, when Hell Week ended, The remaining candidates gathered in silence as instructors handed them dry uniforms, warm food, and words few ever heard. Congratulations, you're still alive. Weeks later, after dive training, tactical shooting, land warfare, night operations, and evaluations, Ch1 stood in formation wearing a crisp uniform, hands at his sides. The Command Master Chief stepped forward and pinned a small gold device to his chest. The Naval Special Warfare insignia, the Trident, a symbol almost no foreign trainee had ever earned. Ch1, the chief said quietly, you didn't just pass. You excelled. Your country should be very proud. Ch1 bowed his head. Thank you, Master Chief. But pride wasn't what he felt. Just focus. Just clarity. He had come to America seeking the edge between survival and mastery. Instead, he found something sharper, the understanding that the strongest weapon a man can wield is his will. He returned to Taiwan 2 weeks later. The flight home cut across a moonlit ocean. He looked down at the waves that had nearly drowned him, nearly broken him, nearly transformed him. Now they reflected stars. At Taiwan Airport, a cold winter wind greeted him. The air smelled like home, night markets, salt, incense from the temples. Waiting at the gate was his father, hands in pockets, face unreadable. Ch1 was wondering to himself, how did he know? You look different, his father said. Ch1 adjusted the duffel on his shoulder. I had to be. His father nodded once, as if recognizing a truth he'd long expected. You're ready now, he said, for whatever comes. Ch1 didn't know what his father meant. Not yet. But 2 years later, on Christmas Day 2026, as the sky over Taiwan filled with fire and metal, he would remember those words and understand